Hello and welcome to Ice Dice. My name's Evan and this is Mike.
Hello!
And today we're going to give you a GenCon preview. And what this is going to be is, well, let me start with where I came up with this list of games. The comprehensive list on Board Game Geek is Eric Martin's GenCon 2015 preview geek list. 500 items on that list. So we're not talking about 500 things. What I did is I went through and I looked for the games that were being released at GenCon. Or sometimes they call it debuting at GenCon, which means it'll be released shortly after. So it's only board games, no miniature games, no expansions, no RPGs. There are some card games and some party games in there. And if they said they were being released in September or later, I didn't include them. It's like, I don't know exactly how many are on the list, but high 30s. So this is going to be a long video. Mm-hmm. We'll try to get through it pretty quickly, but you know, if you're in the plane or in the car driving and have a connection, we'll take care of probably about an hour's worth of your time.
You're going to get excited about Gen Con. This is the video to see. Gen Con preview!
Okay, so I'm going to go through the games and I'm going to read the publisher's description, and I usually have a picture. I try to only use the publisher's pictures. You know, sometimes they're low resolution, but we'll just kind of take a look at them and you can see what you're going to be interested in when you go there. Should we get started?
Yay!
Let's get started. The first game is Among the Stars Revival. This is a new expansion. I know I already said it wasn't going to do expansions, but this is an expansion that can also be played as a standalone game for 2 players. It introduces brand new strategic 2-player rules and exciting new mechanisms that add more interaction in the game and more things to consider when drafting a card. I am a Among the Stars fan. I do have some things that I'm a little bit questionable about, but a 2-player version of it I think could be a good version, so this is something I'm going to seek out.
Okay.
Next is Artifacts Inc. from Yellow Games. The description of this is New York, 1929. A frenzy of interest in antiquity is sweeping the nation. With museums hungry for mysterious and exotic artifacts, and you hungry for adventure, you start up your own archaeology company. Untold wonders await within dangerous jungles, harsh deserts, and windswept mountains. Will you gain a reputation as the most intrepid and famous explorer of all time? 2 to 4 players compete to grow the most famous archaeology company. Players roll dice, which represent their troops of adventurers, and place them on cards in order to find artifacts, sell them to museums, and purchase new cards representing their company assets. Players can choose to focus on making lots of money by selling artifacts, having museum majorities, creating the best combination of expeditions and buildings, or searching for below the waves for lost cities and hidden treasures. The first player to 20 reputation points triggers the end of the game, and the most player with the most reputation wins. Interested? Not interested?
You're rolling dice, a dice replacement. You're moving the dice around as cubes. It seems a little dry to me. I'm sorry. It just seems dry to me.
Yeah, it's a 60-minute dice placement game. The artwork looks great, so I mean, I'll take a look at it.
Marginal. At best.
Okay.
Sorry.
Ashes Rise of the Phoenixborn from Plaid Hat Games. We actually talked about this game a fair amount in one of our earlier upcoming releases videos. But this is a 2-player expandable card game where you take on the roles of the Phoenixborns. The characters are great saviors, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, Phoenix, prophecy arose if one of the Phoenixborns, okay, whatever. That's all flavor text. So I have looked into this game. The interesting thing about this game is that the artwork is really good. I even remember the artist's name as Fernanda Suarez.
Fernanda Suarez.
She does all the artwork for this game. But briefly, what I've been able to look at is it's a Magic the Gathering type game in that you have 2 people, 2 magicians fighting each other, and you can summon creatures or cast spells directly against each other. Besides the interesting artwork on this, one of the differences is instead of your resource that you spend on spells and things being mana cards that you draw, it's dice that you roll. So the dice you roll determine what kind of spells you can cast and so on and so forth. Any interest in this game at all?
I like the name Ashes, Rise of the Phoenixborn. It sounds like a Michael Bay movie. The graphics are nice. I want to check it out because of the graphics are nice. And the rolling of the dice versus the Magic the Thing, it's okay. The name's good. The graphics good. I'm interested marginally, a little more than marginally.
I think it's an odd name, and it's one it's like, yeah, you want to play. If I go to my semi-gamer friends and say, you want to play Ashes Rise of the Phoenix board?
No,
they're going to turn around and run the other way.
Now that you said it out loud twice, it doesn't sound so fun.
But I think if you start showing them these cards, they might get interested in that. Because they do. They look really good. Okay, the next game is Bad Beat, a game from Stoneblade Entertainment. This is a fast-paced bluffing game in which players must eat their vegetables and, well, get rid of their vegetables through any means they can. Each player starts the game with 8 beat cards that they must finish before they can leave the dinner table. On a turn, a player takes one of the 2 cards in their hand, places it face down on the table, then takes an action. From feeding the dog, sharing with another player, tattling on someone, or actually eating a beat. And then the other players decide whether to allow the action or call the player on it. If a player is called out, they take the action only if they had the proper card in hand, and the tattletale gets punished with an extra beat.
Beats, Bad Beats. It's a good name for a kids game, and it does skew younger. You have to admit that, right? The graphics. The graphics I've seen the graphics on the game. They're very kid friendly, and it's 15 minutes. I don't know if it's the best kids card game in the world. There's a lot of card games that skew towards kids. 15 minutes, I don't know. I'm jury's out on this one, but I'll look at it because it's going to take the demo is going to take 5 minutes to look at, and yeah, I'll give it a look.
Yeah, I think it sounds to me like Coup for kids, and that's not necessarily a bad thing, you know.
That's a great name for a game, Coup for Kids.
Yeah, well, I don't
alliteration. That's great.
I think if you're in Target, not many parents are going to be buying the Coup for
Bad
Kids.
Beats.
But Bad Beats. Okay, yeah, so it is what it is. It's probably worth checking out.
Yeah.
Next game is Captain's Wager. Players take on the roles of rogue airship captains, sending their pirate crews off on adventures in search of treasure. Problematically, several captains often show up for the same adventure. So how should we figure out who gets what loot? We'll gamble for it, of course. That's the pirate way. It's a betting and hand management game which combines classic elements of poker with the kind of clever card play gamers expect from more modern card games. It accommodates 2 to 5 players and plays about 30 minutes. Each round, you'll get 4 crew cards with values 1 to 20, and you'll play them and attempt to win encounters by committing the highest value card. They also could have effects, and for players who are unsure of their hand, but still want to play the abilities, they can take a loan, and so on and so forth. So, I mean, another one. I'm a sucker for good artwork. I mean, I'll almost always check out every game with good artwork.
See, to me, 3 things is it smells like trying too hard. It's steampunk, it's pirates, and it's gambling. It seems like we've got some mechanics that we know work in other games. Push them together. It kind of makes sense. I don't know. I'm on the try too hard. I don't know. I'm not looking forward to this thing.
I'm not as sure about this, but there's actually already expansive for it. I think this might have been a print and play game to begin with. I could be wrong about that, but I don't know. I mean, it's Gray Fox Games. That's worth a shot. But I'm going to say that about here's the thing, is that I'm going to say I'm interested in almost every game because I like learning new games. The thing is that I remember reading a study years ago about where they studied the brains of video game players as they were learning new games, and their whole brain lit up while they were learning new games. And then as they mastered it, it slowly got down to a couple core things. And I think that experience is replicated in board games where you're learning a new game. I think it engages your whole brain. I like that experience, so I'll try almost anything once.
Yeah, you have criticized me justly about this, and my wife has as well. I'm more about the game experience more than the cause and effect of playing the game as a total. So that's the negative connotations on this is it's steampunk and it's pirates and it's gambling. But like my wife, if I'm there with my wife and they start talking to it and lights start clicking in my wife's head, then lights are going to start clicking in my head. So I'm with you. If I'm learning this game and I'll try to put aside my presumptions and say, oh well, it does actually make sense. They're not really trying too hard. So I might give it a shot. So yeah, I'm with you. If the presentation is good, then I'll try my best to oversee the thing. But I'm just a creature of habit. I'm sorry.
Well, the next one I'm pretty sure you're going to want to try.
I'm pretty sure I will.
Codenames by Vlada. It's a Vlada word game, but it's also a spy game. Yeah, let me just read this description. 2 players face a grid of 25 word cards. Each team has a captain, and both captains can see, via a hidden picture, which cards belong to their team, which cards are neutral, and which single card is an assassin. On a turn, a captain gives their teammates a clue such as car 4. Those teammates then select cards which they think the captain might have in mind for the clue, perhaps wheel or electric or vacation. Choosing a word not belonging to your team ends the turn, and choosing the assassin makes you lose immediately. If you look at this picture, this is, I don't know if it's a prototype, but they're laying down cubes, and if you look at the bottom of that picture, you can kind of see they've got that grid. I believe what that is showing is that the red cards are the red teams, and that, so...
That's right.
Party game and word game.
Party game and word game. An interesting variation on password. So, like you said, you give a name, you give a clue, and then you give a number of cards that it might apply to. Because, of course, you're trying to get all your cards guessed before the other team gets your cards. So, the more generic you go, and the higher the number, the more chance that you got of getting it wrong. And then flipping there's a danger card where if that gets flipped, you immediately lose. So that's dangerous. But it might break other people's brains, and it might be like scratch the same itch as Dixit. If people get way too specific, then the game will drag. If people try to get way too clever, then they might guess too much. So I'm very curious about this thing.
And the other Vlada party game, which is the video that comes out the week after this one, or actually that's GenCon week, so in a couple weeks, you'll be seeing it soon, is Pictomania. And spoiler alert, we like it, but it's not for everybody.
It's not for everyone.
I think this may be the same thing, but I don't know. You always had to try a Vlada game.
Well, yeah, but you've played. I hate to just real quick digression. When you're playing the Dixit and you get somebody who gives too many specifics, it'll ruin it. So this is like worse like that. It's like if it's like toothpaste and somebody goes Crest, and it can only be toothpaste, and you're like, come on, try hard.
Well, but that's the other thing about Dixit. I played a game, and I am not making this up. For almost every time he had to give clues, he said things like bizarre dream or surreal painting, and I'm like, that applies to every card. He couldn't help himself. I'll tell you after the show who that was.
Words with vowels. Like on this one, I'm like, oh, that's hard to guess which one that is.
But to your point, yeah, certain games are not for everybody.
Yeah, certain games are
and
not.
this could be one that's not for everybody. Okay. Let's move on to the next one. This is Dead Drop, a game from Crash Game, and it's a game that involves memory, deduction, and crafty maneuvering. Secret agents are working for different organizations, and they scour the globe seeking information that will help them find the location of a hidden explosive device. Agents trade information and sell secrets and try to find the device. You can share info, you can hack the cache, which is trading a card from one in the cache. You can sell secrets, which is revealing cards. At the end of the turn, after performing a regular action, the active agent may choose to grab the drop, place 2 cards from their hands face up next to the card in the middle of the table, then secretly look at the card in the middle to determine whether this card is equal to the sum of the 2 face-up cards. If you guess correctly, you win the round. If you're wrong, you're out of the round.
I have actually played a promotional copy of this game.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, so it's a micro card game like Love Letter, but it's not exactly like Love Letter. But it's not. What's deduction is if you know all the information. You've told me this before.
Yeah. Deduction, well, you just have to think about the word deduction. Deduction is you deduct possibilities until you're left with only one possibility.
This is a deduction game.
Okay, so this is a deduction game.
And it's short, and you play round and round and round because you get the gist of it on what questions to ask and how to deduce properly. It's a fun 5 minutes.
Well, they do have it listed as a memory game too, which I'm not all that keen on memory games. In Board Game Geek, one of the mechanics is memory. Oh, and even the publisher description says memory.
Well, if you remember what you asked, I remember I asked for a 2 and you didn't have a 2 before, so I'm not going to, next time I'm not going to say, so I have a 2.
That's not so bad.
Yeah.
That's not so bad. Okay, that was Dead Drop. The next game is Dice City from AEG. It's a game for 1 to 4 players, city building, dice worker placement. Yet another dice worker placement
Dice
game.
worker placement.
And here's the description. The kingdom of Roldovia is in turmoil. Her Royal Highness, the Queen, has decreed that there will be a new capital after the old one was sacked by hordes of barbarians and bandits from the south. As leaders of one of the country's most influential noble families, players vie with each other to establish their provincial city as the best home for Roldovia's new capital. You must choose your city's path in gaining the approval of the others in the kingdom. It's a dice crafting game in which the locations in your city act as the changing faces of your dice each turn. Use tactics and strategy to press your claim. You have several ways to promote your city: create strong armies, construct wondrous buildings, or open up trade routes. The secret to managing your city and its natural resources is to carefully make best of your fortunes. I kind of mangled that last sentence, but 45 to 60 minute dice placement game.
45 to 60 minute dice placement game. Yeah, if you look at the cards on your screen and you think you're rolling dice and you're picking cards and you're thinking, hey, this might be a little bit like Machikoro, you're probably right. That's what I'm thinking too. That's where my interest peaks. But the dice, Machikoro is by no way means long in the tooth, but the dice, rolling the dice and the placement and the economic thing is now it's a straight up meme in gaming. So I'm excited about this, but with trepidations because I want to see what if the fresh take. But the graphics on it are nice and it looks like it's inherently quick to pick up, so it might be fun to play. So yeah, I'm interested.
Yeah, I am too. I like Machikoro, but for some reason it doesn't quite grab me as much as it does other people. I'm not sure what it is. The times I played it, I almost always just went for it. Well, I want as many dice rolls as possible to help me, and yeah, I don't know. It was okay. I mean, I think it's all right, but it's got a few flaws. So maybe this kind of takes the concept and is the next step in the evolution of that type of game.
When you play Machikoro, where you play it with kids and you do stuff that instead of just getting the most dice rolls, it steals their stuff and that's when the fun, because they get real upset when you're stealing their money.
You like upsetting kids, that's what you're telling us? Okay.
Well, then they try to upset me, which is fun.
Okay. So that's Dice City. Moving on. Oh boy, we're only up to the D's still.
That's all right.
Yeah, we'll get through it. Discoveries. This is from Ludnaut Games. It is a deck pool building, dice rolling set collection worker placement game. This is from the same publisher, designer, and artist, I believe, that did Lewis and Clark.
Yep.
So this is a dice game, though. Lewis and Clark was a deck building game. This is a dice placement game. You play one of the expedition members. Your goal is to compile as much knowledge as possible in your journal, and in this way advance science thanks to your discoveries. The tribe discovery cards you gain during the game to score points at the end. To get them, you have to perform exploration actions, and to do this, you use dice. On your turn, you either play the dice in your action area or on the game board, and you're either preparing to explore or performing to explore, maybe getting new actions, or you can, once you're all set, you get all your dice back.
Yeah, I like this idea just as much as Lewis and Clark. Lewis and Clark is a race game, but Lewis and Clark is very prone to AP because you get your deck building that works really great when you're climbing up the rivers, and then you have to switch your deck when you're climbing the mountains. This doesn't seem to be like that. It seems more streamlined. It's not a dice version of Lewis and Clark. It's a different thing. It's not a race game. It's a dice placement game, as you said. So, and the designer, the Lewis and Clark as a design was a great design, and the same team back, and the graphics on the original Lewis and Clark were great. So this seems like one that I am keen to play.
Yeah, I love Lewis and Clark. I mean, I like the whole, you're planning 5 or 6 moves at a time. You know, you're getting cards to improve your hand for the future. You got to manage your bullets. You can't carry too much stuff. But, you know, I wonder if I did rate it, love it in one of our videos. But part of it is because I really like the artwork in this. I think it's just about as good as artwork gets in these kind of games. And it's the same artist. If you look at look at those pictures of the antelope and the board and everything, it looks great. So yeah, whether it can't live on graphics alone, yeah. But based on how much I like Lewis and Clark, if I could pick this one up, I'm going to try to grab it.
Yeah.
Okay, so that was Discoveries. Next Eternal Dynasty. This is from Game Salute. It's a game for 2 to 5 players with elements of territory control, worker placement, and political maneuvering. Each game consists of a number of generations equal to the number of players, which each generation consisting of several rounds of play. At the beginning of each generation, players will select a ruler who will have different inherent bonuses for military or political influence, a number of cards to play for each generation, and a unique ability. Players take on the role of feuding clans and will fight over control of the 18 provinces of ancient China. As the generations progress, players will be able to adjust their strategies on the fly or continue reinforcing their current strategies as they change to a new ruler.
It's area control. It's economics. It's reminiscent of the game with the cubes in the dice tower. Memory's failing me.
You mean Shogun?
Shogun.
There's no dice tower in Shogun.
It's a cube tower. Oh, I knew you'd get me on semantics. But it's a little area control like that. It's got the economics, not just because it's in Asia, but it seems might be a little dry for my tastes. I want to watch somebody else play it.
Yeah, this is one I didn't really have that much information on. I mean, I didn't have time to delve into every game. And, I think this artwork is okay, but just as a matter of taste, it's not really my style. But I do like the whole concept of working through multiple generations, and, you can try to you got to work with your leader that you have now and plan for the future. Like I say, I'll try almost anything, so... That's Eternal Dynasty. Now, this next one, a lot of people are excited for, Flick 'em Up. Flick 'em Up is an action dexterity game. The cities in the West are not the safest place to be. It's a disc flicking game where you can become an outlaw and rob banks, free prisoners, or attack innocent bystanders, or you could become the sheriff and try to protect the people of your city from these bandits. If you've ever seen any pictures of this, you see it. It's nice that they give you these big houses and everything, but do you have any interest in this kind of game?
Yeah, I saw this being played at Dice Tower Con. People were having a ball playing it, but people were having a ball just flicking the flick. They weren't really. It's reminiscent of Telestrations, where the game itself it's more of an activity than a game. People like flicking cowboys and stuff. But here's the thing, right? This box is the nicest board game box I have ever. It's wood. And maybe it was just the promotion I saw it at the Dice Tower Con, but it was wood and everything fit in there really nice. I mean, the cost was rather exorbitant, but boy oh boy, the components are straight up. I mean, you can't not set it up and people will just flock because it's like, whoa, those are nice components, and people are laughing and having fun. I don't know if I saw people paying strict attention to the rules, but they were having the fun.
Well, from what I could tell is that this flicking is either moving your person from one place into another or shooting at someone else. I don't know. I like those kind of games. Pitch Car, I think, is a good game.
It's a fine game.
The one concern I have about this is that when I've seen the videos and things, they've been playing on a big table, and it's not just a big table. You can't have like a table with leaves in it so that you have those seams. So I'm not sure if I really have the space to play this game.
I'm not sure if I have the patience to trust when you flit in the carpet and because of the high end of the cost of the game, you lose one of those discs. Boy, oh boy, I'd be upset.
Oh, I suspect they'll have replacement discs.
Oh yeah. Oh.
But I don't know. I mean, it's one that I'm not as excited as some people are about. But if I get a chance to play this, I'm definitely going to try it.
Yeah, I'm playing it with a cost point.
Yeah, I don't even know what it costs. So.
Yeah, I bet it costs a lot. The straight up wood box.
And actually those pieces are pretty significant that they have. I mean, when I looked at the video of this, there were a lot of buildings.
Yeah.
There's barrels. You got the guys. You got these cute boxes to hide behind. So, it's one of those things. Worth is a subjective thing.
It is indeed.
Oh, it says 1 to 4 players. I wonder how you play with 1 player. I guess you could.
Right around.
Okay. Well, that was Flips. That was Flick 'em Up. The next one is Flip City, which used to be called Design Town. It's from Tasty Minstrel Games, 1 to 4 players, 30-minute card game about city building, and it's press your luck. The description is build your own town. In this brand new deck building game, you have no hand at all. That's interesting. Instead, you play your card directly from the top of your deck. Winning the game requires delicate strategies and some luck as well. A turn consists of 2 phases. card playing, and building. Players draw cards directly from the top of their deck and may choose to continue until they have 3 cry face icons. I'm looking at these cards. I don't. Oh, there's one. And
then they go
the far left one.
You go bust if you.
He's not really crying. It looks more like he's dead. If you get 3 of those, your turn ends immediately, or when you choose to stop, you move on to the building phase. During the building phase, players can use the coins they gained from previously played cards to buy a new card or upgrade a card in your discard pile. Since all cards in this game are double-sided, be careful not to flip them over accidentally when you place them in your discard pile or when shuffling your deck. Not sure why they put that in the description. Whenever a player gains 8 or more VP during a single card play phase, that player wins immediately.
Yeah, it's 2 player. It's pressure lock. There are little smiley faces below, and you get 3. So it's gonna rock about 20 minutes. So if that's your thing, with the 2 players prohibitive to me. I don't know.
It's not 2 players. It's 1 to 4 players.
Oh, all right. Well, the thing I said was 2 players.
Well, the thing that interests me about this one is rather than working up your deck to buy cards, hot point cards repeatedly, it's just simply, hey, when you get to 8 points, you win. I mean, that, and the fact that you're not actually playing from your hand. A lot of deck building hands, I say this, I know some people disagree with me, is, you just, on your turns, you just look at your hand and do what your cards tell you to do anyway, so, well, you might as well just do it one at a time. And it adds that press your luck of looking for those cry faces / death faces.
I'll give you that. I'm curious to know how you doing if there's hand management, because you just literally, like you said, you're flipping from the top of your deck, so you got to kind of remember, I got some bad smiley faces that are coming up. I better not flip too many cards. I better lay off on that and try to manage that. If it can be managed, if it can't be managed, then I don't see it being much of a game, but we'll see.
I wish I'd written down how many cards are in this deck, because I'd be interested. But, the design looks good, and, I don't know. It's probably cheap, so.
Yeah, it might be it.
Okay, that's either Flip City or Design City. I can't remember which one's the current name. Next game is Jolly Roger, the game of piracy and mutiny, the ever-popular pirate theme. From Ares Games, 4 to 10 players, 30-minute card game, hand management and voting. In this game, you're a crew member aboard a pirate ship and have just elected a new captain. This man will lead you toward either fortune or disaster, and thankfully, no matter what course of action he takes, if you don't agree with his choices, you can always start a mutiny and become the next captain yourself. So each turn, the captain chooses a destination for the ship and the target that it will attack. Once the ship is attacking, the players more or less cooperate to defeat their victim. Then they divide the treasure amongst themselves, but your gold is never secure until you bury it on Treasure Island. As you carry out the attack, unrest is always brewing in the kettle. Each time the captain makes a choice, it's possible for one of the other players to call mutiny and try to overthrow him to become the new captain. And when the mutiny begins, you need to decide how to use your cards during the mutiny and the looming battle. How much will you cooperate when you insult an enemy, and what will you keep to yourself to prepare for when the next mutiny starts? As is fitting for a pirate, your greatest desire is for gold, and you'll do anything to reach your goal. In the end, whoever collects the most gold wins.
This is near the top of my list for one word. Mutiny. Mutiny, because you're captain here, you're doing stuff, and you get and I have very strong feelings that this is going to play very well with big players. This is the only one of the games I saw that played more than 5 players, played it's up to 10, so I figure you get a big game with a lot of people around, and there's 20 minutes of super fun. All right, I'm captain, we're going to go to the gold, all right, everybody on board, we're going to do the gold, murmur, 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 I'd rather you not do that, murmur, okay, second decision, murmur, 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 somebody's going to yell mutiny, if no other reason other than it's fun. I want to be captain, mutiny. Let's go. Mutiny, I'm now, and then the disruption of that seems like it's a lot of fun. That changes up the thing, and then that guy, and then of course the mutiny. Because the guy who's just been mutinied, he's gonna hold a grudge, and that seems like it's gonna be a lot of fun.
Yeah, that's actually what I was gonna say, is that I think this may lend itself to a metagame. And that's not necessarily a bad thing. If you're playing with people you know well, I think it could be a lot of fun.
I'm imagining it right now. Team Evan, Team Mike. All right, there you go. Go ahead with Evan. Yeah, Evan knows what he's talking about. Oh, sure, Captain Evan.
Yeah, I couldn't find any artwork from the publishers on this. This is the one thing which is not actually a game component. But, It's this one really does seem like if they can match this artwork they have on this promotional graphic, it'll be fine. And yeah, the concept is interesting. It's one of those that you never know if it's good in theory, but does it work in practice?
See, yeah, I want to know what happens. I want somebody to walk me through when somebody calls mutiny, these steps that go forth, and it's clear that once he's new captain, how that all shakes out, because that might be a little wonky. We'll see.
Yeah, it doesn't really kind of say. It's how you play your cards, but yeah, I'm interested, that's for sure. Okay, that was Jolly Roger, the Game of Piracy and Mutiny. Now, the next game is actually not a new game. It's from, I think, 2014, but it's the first time it's been really available in North America is going to be at GenCon, and that is Granja. Okay, well, this version is from Stronghold Games. It's another 1 to 4 players, 90 to 120 minutes. It's about dice and farming, area control, worker placement, that kind of thing. The description is in La Granja. Players can, or maybe it's La Granja. Players control small farms by the Alpic Tom near the village, Alpic Pond near the village of Esporales on the island of Mallorca. Over time, the players develop their farms and deliver goods to the village. Players are vying to earn the title of La Granja for their country estate. Over the course of 6 rounds, players will expand their farm by adding fields, farm extensions, market barrels, and helpers. They will earn VPs by delivering goods to the village, and it's important to observe the action of other players, manipulate turn order, and adjust your strategy based on the dice and cards. They say it's a fascinating game that requires careful planning. Timing and speed is crucial. However, successful players must cope with the uncertainty of events during the game. The player who has earned the most victory points at the end of the game is the winner.
This seems like a candidate for AP Game of the Year for 2015. The cards, if you have a picture, do you have a picture of the cards? The cards have 4 components on them. In this game, and you see that board, it's got that wonky top to the board. That's where the top part of the card that fits into there, and that allows you to do you slide the card into there, and that allows you to do the top part of the card. And then there's the slots on the bottom. The bottom part of the card slides into there and allows you to do the bottom part of the card. Of course, there's only 3 rooms for that. Then you slide a card off to the right, and then the right portion of the card you cover up that port, and that allows you to do stuff on the right side of the card. And then there's the left side of the card does the same thing. So every card has 4 things that can happen that you can use the card for, and in addition to all the economic other stuff that's in the middle of the thing. I mean, it just looks like it's going to be an AP thing. But I don't know if it's. I wanted to say a disparaging adjective there, but I don't know whether it's going to be an inordinate amount of AP or it's going to be manageable. But I watched it being played at GenCon. For GenCon, Dice Tower Con. I watched it being played at Dice Tower Con for a good 20 minutes, and people were grabbing it. But these were game reviewers, so they were easily gravitating towards the mechanics and such. But I don't know. I'll have to walk through it again.
Well, I mean,
or I walk through it in person instead of watching it.
Well, it does sound like a Euro game.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, the theme is farming.
Yeah.
But, the concept of those cards can be used multiple ways. I like that. But, from what I understand, it's fairly well regarded.
Yeah.
But, it's some of these Euro games. I mean, I like Euro games, but, at times it's like you say, they not only could be AP prone, they also can be dry, and the other thing that I always get leery of is when you can go in with, I'm playing the Corn Baron strategy, and I don't know if this game has that. Well, I suspect that this game is going to be around amongst the people that we know, so I'm sure I'll play it, if I don't get a chance to play it at GenCon.
Yeah, and a lot of people going, corn, I need corn.
I do have to find out if it's La Granja or La Granja, though. The next game is Lift It, which is a light family game.
Light, I get it, because... lifting. 1 to 8 players.
A family building game in which players try to build projects depicted on the building cards. They lift the blocks of different shapes with a crane hook to form the correct structures within the time limit shown on each building card. Each correctly placed block scores a point, and additional points if you manage to build the structure correctly within the time limit. Once the players begin to gain points, they also have to start to have duels against each other in building a structure, or they have to explain the project to another player and have them build it, or you must attack the hooks to your head and build the structure that way.
I saw this game being played with. I did not see this game being played. You see the distinction there? They were playing with the game, trying to do the thing, but I didn't see anybody saying, oh, well, we're actually going to, we're trying to satisfy the thing, and then frustration would fit in. And maybe it was because it was late at night. I don't know, but it seems like more of an activity than an actual game.
Well,
but it's fun. Look at the picture. Look at the kids are having fun.
I think, just like Granja, this is going to be too much of a Euro-y, dry AP Crone game.
Look at those. Look at the AP on those girls' faces. They're like, oh man, we really should have went for the corn strategy.
No, the thing is, this seems like a game that, to play with the kids.
Yeah.
The kids will like it, but, yeah, well.
20 minutes of fun with the kids.
Yeah, I bet you that's what it is.
Yeah.
Okay, that was Lift It. Next is Master Fox. This is a game for 2 to 4 players. It's about 30 minutes. It's an animal deduction and memory and pattern recognition game. The description is the famous Master Fox is getting old and looking for his successor among the intrepid thieves of the forest. It could be your chance to prove your skill as a thief and take his place. To impress the old fox, you must complete the missions he gives you and bring him the biggest loot from the nearby cottage. But you're not the only ambitious young fox around here. Ho, ho, ho. In each round of Master Fox, you flip 3 cards to reveal the animals you must capture, then shuffle the game pawns inside the box, and put on your fox blindfolds and start feeling around with your hand for the right pawns. But your bag isn't big enough to hold more than 4 catches, so you can't just grab everything you touch. Whenever you think you have the right pawns, shout stop to end the round. Everyone scores 1 point for each wanted pawn in his bag, but loses 1 for each incorrect or extra pawns. Later rounds add tricks to the game. Catch fox cubs for extra points, steal from your opponent's bags with sneaky snakes, or defend yourself with the mighty hammer. Whatever you do, don't be hasty because the shapes can be deceiving.
Now, this is near the top of my list. It's almost a must-buy because of a yellow and the components and the fox masks. But there's a game, 1967, Feely Mealy, Parker Brothers are ideal. Well, I think it's Parker Brothers, but it's a box, and you stick your hand in the box, and it's brooms and mops and common household items, and you spin the thing and you say grab a broom, and you have to feel in blind. That's the mechanic is what feels like a broom, and you pull it out. So just because that's a thing, and it's a funny activity. It's not much of a Feely Mealy ain't much of a game, but this thing has got a game in it, and it's yellow, and you can see those little wood bits in there. They look like they're obviously discernible to the naked eye, but just feeling them, they might feel it's very easy to see that might not be the easiest thing in the world to discern that. Plus, you're wearing those masks. Oh my God, it just looks like fun.
Well, the whole wearing mask things, I think, is going to keep a lot of people from wearing this game. Because if you look, those fox masks, all right, they're big. They go over your face, and you have to put those on while you're playing this game. But actually, my one concern, the whole gameplay seems like, it's a light, silly game.
Yeah.
It could be fun. If they do the shapes right, that's going to be the key to whether this is a good game. If it's too easy to tell, it won't be any good. If it's too hard to tell, it won't be good. To find that right balance. My other concern about the components is how well those fox masks are going to hold up.
I didn't think of that. That's Feely Mealy. You don't got no masks you wear.
I don't know. I want to say I want to try it at GenCon, but then I'm like, really, do I want to put on a mask that 30 other people have already put on?
Smelly. You might get your flu.
So we'll take a look at it. I do like the whole concept of trying to see if you can feel the correct shapes. Okay, that was Master Fox. Next is Mottainai. This is a game from Carl Chudik, and it's 2 to 5 players. It says it re-implements Glory to Rome on Board Game Geek, but the description is Mottainai means don't waste, or every little thing has a soul. In the game Mottainai, you use your cards for many purposes. Each player is a monk in a temple who has to perform tasks, collect materials, and sells or completes works for visitors. Each card can be each of these 3 things. You choose tasks to allow you to perform actions, keeping in mind that the other players will get to follow up on your task on their next turn. Clever planning and combining your work's special abilities is key, as is managing the materials you sell. It says it's a deep but quick game experience.
Yeah, it's one of these where the cards have, you can see the cards on there, they have multiple aspects to the card, so you can play the card as it's a suit, which is the thing to the right, and then the flavor text on the card, the card is the text, and then you can put it below, and on your game board, it has areas on the top, on each fourth sides of the game board, that if your card is at the top, it does one thing, it's left, right, bottom, it does another thing, much like your Glory to Rome. So, I mean, I'm not the hugest fan of Glory to Rome. I like Innovation a lot more from Karl Chudik, but I'm willing to try it, even though it feels a little. I mean, it just looks a little dry to me. I don't know.
Well, the thing is I think Glory to Rome's okay, but I'm not all that keen on it. I think the luck of the card draw is kind of heavy in that game, and there's certain combinations that seem to be a bit overpowered. If this is a streamlined version of Glory to Rome, I might really like it.
Oh.
Because of Glory to Rome, I'm just like, it's okay. But if he's kind of through that experience, kind of said, well, here's how I can make that a more streamlined, elegant game. It could be pretty good.
And yeah, Karl. Let's be honest, Karl Chudik. Yeah, it's going to be worth a shot just for Karl Chudik.
Okay, that was Mottainai. The next game is Nautilus Industries. Nautilus Industries is from Lamplight Games for 2 to 6 players. It's an economic, industry, manufacturing, and negotiating game. The description is, Nemo is gone, but his machines have opened up a whole new world to us. The floors of Neptune's sea lay open to us, ready to surrender their bounties. Equip and upgrade your mining machines, then guide them to the rich mineral seams beneath the ocean. Control the supplies of resources to bend the market to your will. Become the master of Nautilus Industries. In the game, players will take on the role of an enterprising business owner, with each trying to exploit the riches of the sea as well as the marketplace to earn the most money by the end of the game. You take a series of simple actions such as programming a mining robot, increasing warehouse capacity, swapping mine zone order, or purchasing stocks. Each round, players will have 3 actions that they must take before the market phase. During this phase, they'll collect and sell resources in turn order. Each sea zone is mined in a specific order, and players have the option each round to sell or hold the resources for a later round. Blah, blah, blah. Easy to learn because of the simple actions you take, yet dynamic because of the way the market, stocks, and players affect gameplay.
Underwater economic game. It would be saying, if you thought, underwater economic game, that sounds like it's intriguing. And then if you look at the game components right here, it doesn't scream, hey, it's an underwater economic game. It looks like straight up, it's just an economic game with an underwater theme, and I think that might be something. But I'm willing to watch it being played. I'll give it like a 10-minute watch being played, and if my presumptions are, I'm willing to forego those presumptions if the theme is good and the gameplay is fun. But to me, it just looks like an economic game with that some guy with mechanics, and he said, "Hey, underwater is a thing, so let's go."
I think you hit the nail on the head. Not your mind reading of the designer, but but that it does look like a pure economic game, because there's really no board. If these components are the complete kit, then I don't know. I mean, it's I'll give it a chance, but
you see that chart that that's like a mid-90s game component with the chart, and you go like this, and which was fun at the time. Those games with those charts, but.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that's why we're going to GenCon. So
yep.
See whether they're any good or not.
Yep.
That was Nautilus Industries. Next is New Salem. New Salem is a hidden identity, drafting, and deduction and set collection game where players are the 17th century founders of New Salem, where they hope to escape the pestilence-filled streets of Salem during the infamous witch trials. Righteous players need to keep the witches at bay and construct specific types of buildings, while witches add pestilence to the new town without detection. If the righteous players can keep pestilence at a minimum, the one who scored the most victory points will win. But if there's too much pestilence, the witch who was the most evil will win. It says the jaw-dropping art envelopes you in a rich theme, while the simultaneous play of the drafting system keeps the game moving and scales elegantly between 3 to 8 players. But I'll tell you that this artwork I wouldn't call it jaw-dropping.
No, I would call it, macabre 101.
Right, exactly. It's very good, but it's a little grotesque and macabre to be jaw-dropping.
They're obviously trying to hit you where you live for the macabre fans. All right, you like the Addams Family and stuff like that.
Yeah, but the gameplay. The gameplay, what do you think about the game concept?
Well, unless there's that thing where it switches where the most evil witch wins, that's intriguing to me. But I'm gonna have to swallow hard past the artwork and the thing. The theme is the macabre is hard to sell without. I don't know. It's a tough sell for me.
Yeah, I agree with you in that it can be tough to bring to the table with certain players because it's a turnoff for some people. But it doesn't bother me at all. But I think that concept of, well, I'm not sure, is it hidden identity where you don't know who's the witches and who's the other people? Oh yeah, it is hidden identity. Yeah. So the fact that some people are there's two separate goals and you're both trying to work those goals. But my question is, well, what's the penalty if people figure out that you're a witch or vice versa?
Oh yeah, there you go.
That is going to be the key for me is to figure is how that works. So I don't have enough information, but yeah, I like hidden identity games, but they are games that it can really be tough to get it right. So we'll see. This is coming along fairly long, the evolution of the hidden identity games. So the next game is New York 1901. This is a game from Blue Orange, and it's 2 to 4 players, 45-minute city building game and tile placement. The description is, relive the dawn of the modern New York City, the historic years that made it what it is today. Build bigger and higher skyscrapers on some of Lower Manhattan's most iconic streets. Raise one of 4 legendary skyscrapers, the Park Row, the Singer, the Metropolitan Life, or the majestic Woolworth, and make one of them the crown jewel in your real estate empire. Players are building size skyscrapers on a map of New York's financial district, and players take location cards from a cards display and then use 2 to 3 of those cards to place Tetris-shaped building tiles on the board. They first build bronze level buildings. Later in the game, those can be replaced by silver and then gold level buildings. Well, that whole tile placement thing of shapes, I always liked that mechanic.
I like the mechanic too, but when it said building up or skyscrapers, there's no up. There's out. It's Tetris in it. I mean, the silver things are obviously colored differently, but there's not thicker up or. I mean, it's just bothersome that it should be the components should because.
Well, progression. The up is abstracted.
I know the up is abstracted, but it should be. I don't know. I like a stronger theme than that, and it's basically it's just you're bidding on the blocks, and then you're putting the Tetris thing down, and then it works, and then you have something going on, and that's all well and good. But it's worth a shot. But I have reservations.
Yeah, it says it's a 45-minute game, so it might be one of those games that just that very. Medium light game that plays in 45 minutes, it could be okay. Yeah. And it looks like, and again, the production values of this one seem pretty good. So, yeah, we'll have to check it out. Okay, that was New York 1901. The next one is a weird named one. Panda Head.
Panda Head.
This is from R&R Games, a 15-minute trick-taking game, and their description is, what's not to love about pandas? Panda Head is a trick-taking card game in which the winning panda is the one who stays awake the longest by scoring the fewest points. That's right, points are bad. The more points you score, the drowsier you get, and you don't want to end up a pooped panda. Don't be bamboozled.
All right. So the thing is like, kids, you don't want points now. You don't want points because it looks like it skews pretty young. But remember, it's not points you want. You don't want the least points because you get more points, you get tired. Like kids going, I don't know, points are bad. I'm tired. I don't know. Well, skewing kids and then points are bad. I hope it's inherently obvious when you're playing that points are bad because it seems like you're skewing towards the younger ones. So we shall see.
Yeah.
Give it a reservation.
I mean, it is just a 10-minute game, but the thing I don't get is if you read the box, it says pandas in costumes, say no more. But then you look at the cards, it doesn't look like pandas in costumes. It looks like monkeys and people with a panda head on. So I don't know.
Fever dream. Somebody woke up and Panda Head.
But it is for a family game for kids. So,
yeah.
I mean, hey, I love trick-taking games, so teach those kids early on how to play trick-taking games. I'll go for that.
But trick-taking games generally points are good. I don't know. We'll see how it skills. We'll see.
Not every game. Okay, that was Panda Head. The next game is Pingo Pingo. This is a game from Yellow Games. 2 to 5 players, 15 minutes, and the theme is Pirates and Penguins. It's a dexterity action game. Okay, so here's the description of this. Your pirate ship has dropped anchor on the terrible island of Pingo Pingo. Legend says that the island is full of treasure, including the famous golden pineapple, but it also says that the treasure is fiercely guarded by hordes of fearsome penguin warriors, some of which ride giant polar bears. That potential danger is why you're alone in the boat, on your own, but eager to take a run on the island and try your luck. It's a hyper-frenetic action game punctuated by a soundtrack in which you have to react quickly, run, shoot a gun, in which you must be precise, fast, brave, and focused, because if not, well, you might not leave the island in one piece. As soon as the soundtrack begins, the game is on. On your turn, reveal the top card from your deck and place it face up in the middle of the table. Each card requires a specific action when revealed. Be the first to tap on a treasure to grab it, but watch out for traps and critters, and make sure the music allows you to take this treasure. Tap on camp cards to steal cards from other players. Adventure cards trigger actions to be completed before the Pingo Pingo cry in the soundtrack. Get up and run from one base to another across a suspension bridge. Grab the gun and aim well to defeat the fearsome bear riders. Any mistake will cost you one of your 7 life points. After 15 minutes, the player with the most treasures wins. But don't be reckless because you can't carry more than 3 treasures per life point.
Now, he noted the soundtrack, and that is a very important component of this. This is a real-time game with a soundtrack, much like your Escape of a couple years back. But this is at the top of the list. This is at the top of my list as games I want to buy because I want to play at least. I'm not 100% on the buying, but I want to play because this game has, are you ready? Working dart gun. Working dart gun. One of the things you're going to do in this game is you're going to physically get up from the table, run over, grab the gun, and shoot one of the components in the game. That's crazy.
Just to clarify, it's not real darts, it's suction.
Yeah, no, it's not,
But it is. This game, I actually included a second picture of this game. This is from the rules that shows how they want you to set up the game.
6 to 10 feet.
I know!
6 to 10 feet!
So the concept is that, something like you flip a card and what it wants you to do is get up from your chair, walk over, touch this card, get down back in your chair and start shooting that gun at another one of those tented card things. So I know you're tickled pink about this.
I know,
but my concern is that it seems awesome in theory, but whether it works in practice or
I'm
not.
100% with you. I think it'll be one of these you bring to the table and you're like in a group and they're like, oh, that's funny. And at some point they're like, get the hell away from me. My God, you're ruining, you literally could ruin the entire game night for everyone. You invite, 40, 50 of your friends all around, and all of a sudden they all get up and walk out like, what the hell? It's just, it's insane.
I think I'm going to get this game, double those distances, and replace the suction cup gun with an airsoft gun. That'll be fun.
A super sucker.
No, it's one of those, it could be fun, but I do question,
where
are you going to play this game?
I'm gonna play with my wife, and we're going to laugh, and then we're going to look at each other, and we're going to go, we don't know.
Actually, the events you and your wife have at the church basement.
Yeah,
that does seem like a space.
Yeah, where we could, where with the mat, where we put it off to, we put it off 20, 30 feet away from everybody else. Maybe put up a barrier. Maybe put up some police tape.
Because that's a very large space. Okay, well that's Pingo Pingo. Next game is Pocket Imperium, which this may have been a print and play. Oh yeah, it was a print and play game. But now it's being released in a commercial version from Ludi Creations, 30 to 45 minute Galactic Empire game. It's a 4X micro game. Players will need to use the opportunities to expand, explore, exploit, and exterminate to their best advantage. The timing of when to build fleets, when to explore stars, and when to invade systems controlled by opponents will be crucial in the quest to rule the Imperium. What's more, in a crowded galaxy, players must choose wisely when to make allegiances to bring down powerful enemies, and when to break those pacts to critically weaken their former allies.
All right. This looks It's not my type of game. Okay, but it's a 4X micro game, and I'm sure if I walk past and I see people having the fun, I'll stop. Otherwise, highly reserving judgment.
What Twilight Imperium in 30 minutes? I mean, that would be awesome. But, you know, it's one of those things, I should have read more of the reviews, because this is, I mean, it was nominated for a Print and Play Award in 2013, so it's been around for a while. But yeah, you know, to get print and play games are okay, and I understand why there's lots of people. But yeah, if you're not somebody into the crafty side of things, you know, sometimes they're not that great to play with. So having somebody professionally produce components, I'm interested in this.
No.
I mean, we'll have to see how it plays, but I definitely am gonna take a look at this. Okay, that's Pocket Imperium. Okay, the next game is Princess Bride As You Wish. Now, Game Salute is coming out with 3 Princess Bride games at GenCon. This first one, As You Wish, is designed by Daniel Solis, which I know that name because I participated in the Belle of the Ball Kickstarter, in large part because I thought his artwork was great, but really I did it because I wanted great Heartland Hauling Company. So, but his artwork is really good. So this game is a card drafting and set collection game. As You Wish is a Princess Bride game where decisions will need to be made if you're to tell the story of your true love. So it is a game with a theme of true love. How bad can that be?
How bad can true love be?
Each player drafts their cards in a bid to collect sets of icons, all dependent on the desires and needs of the character drawn at the start of the round. The more icons on your groups of cards, the more points you pull in at the end of play, but beware, some of them are poison and can cause you to lose them. As You Wish is a surprisingly tricky game that will keep you on your toes for the duration of play.
We have a lot of games from the 70s where the theme, girls' games from the 70s where the theme is true love. So hopefully the theme has been updated. But of the Princess Bride ones, this one is pretty low on the list. But once again, I'm going to walk by Game Salute and I'm going to, I'm watching it being played, and I'm going to get the inclination from watching it being played. And I'm going to gravitate to one that looks like it's like the kids are having the most fun. So this might be the one. I don't know.
So you may have games from the 70s about true love.
Yes, I do.
I bet you don't have any games about true love.
Peter Cook!
Yeah. Okay, that was Princess Bride As You Wish. The next one is Princess Bride A Battle of Wits. And this is an exciting game of bluff and double bluff between 2 and 10 players. A row of goblets sits in the middle of the table, ready to be filled with either wine or poison. Players each take the role of one character, but it's only at the very end of the game that they will drink one from each goblet. During the game, you must play your cards, one each turn, either to one side, where you're either adding poison or wine to the goblet, or to the bottom, where you're bidding to drink that goblet. So what do you think of that?
Inconceivable! You know I had to do it.
Okay.
I'm sorry I had to do it. I'm sorry I had to do it. But yeah, because that's the best. That's the most quoted scene in the movie for good reason. Wallace Shawn, God love you. So yeah, this is fun because. Well, hopefully, they got the license. So, is there dialogue from the movie in the thing? I hope that, but if there's not, people are going to add it.
Yeah,
right?
well, yeah. What do you need it for? I mean,
never start a land war in 80. People are going to quote the thing.
Right. The thing. No, the point is that people will provide their own line.
Yeah, when they're going to play the thing on the poison of the card, because you think that I think that you think, and then they're going to do that thing. So yeah, of those, of the 3. This is the one that I'm going to gravitate towards the most. But we'll see. Like I guess I'm going to go to Game Salute. I'm going to watch it being played. I'm going to see which ones looks like, and then that's what the one. Because I'm not going to play. I don't have time to play all 3. I'm going to try.
Okay. Well, and speaking of all 3, the last one is Princess Bride Miracle Pill. This is for 2 to 6 players, a 15-minute alchemy game. Players attempt to capture a little magic in the form of a not-so-little pill that will hopefully bring the man in black back to life. You'll need to create the perfect mix of ingredients by choosing cards from your hand to create groups of different types. Each round involves drafting cards, revealing them to all at the same time, and building up your ingredients that will eventually combine together. But remember to follow any immediate instructions that are revealed. In the third and final round, you'll add scoring cards to your tableau, making those collections of yours finally pay off. Just remember to cover the finished article in chocolate. We hear that helps in swallowing the pill.
Have fun storming the castle.
Yeah.
I know how to do it again. But yeah, this one looks looks like, I mean, the first one is True Love. That's more fun. But other than the Billy Crystal dialogue, I mean, you're building up pills and that are, and it seems like it's just kind of a set collecting, and you get it right and you win. And it's 15 minutes. It might be fun. I don't know.
Okay, so the 3 games are As You Wish, which is a where you're trying to get the icons that your character wants. Battle of Wits, which is the bluff and double bluff with the goblets and the poison, who drinks what. And Miracle Pill, which is trying to get the ingredients you need to make a magic pill. Which one interests you most?
Battle of Wits.
I have to agree with you. I mean, that does sound like... And it's also 2 to 10 players. So that could be pretty good.
You know, I have built up a resistance to iodine powder. Did I ever tell you that?
It's not... It's iocane powder, sorry.
I messed it up. Straight iodine powder. That's the worst. I'm the worst.
You know what's sad is we know that, we both know that movie well, but I manage a department that has people in their late 20s in it, and I was talking to them, and all of the guys had seen Princess Bride, but none of the women had. I was like, really? Oh, you have neglectful parents.
God, yeah, that's a strong male and female driven movie. That's great.
Yeah, well, for our generation, it's a classic that everyone has seen. But kids growing up today, they haven't seen it. Okay, the next one is Rattle, Battle, Grab the Loot. Another one we had talked about earlier in our upcoming releases, but this is from Portal Games, 2 to 5 players. It's dice and pirates. The description is: take to the high seas as the captain of your very own pirate ship. Seek out valuable merchant ships and raid them for their goods. Hire new crew, upgrade your ship, and give your treasure to the Pirate King for fame and glory. It takes the fun of rolling dice and combines it with a rich scenario deck to make each gameplay different. Each round, the players battle it out with merchant vessels and other ships and trying to grab as much loot as possible. When you upgrade your ship, you actually use pieces to assemble your ship, making each ship looks different. At the time we talked about this before, there were no pictures of the components, but now there's some pictures. Not quite what I expected. I kind of thought they were going to be assembling the ships rather than being flat, but this is fine. That artwork is pretty good.
The artwork is great. The mechanic of the dropping of the dice is exciting for everybody involved, but you have to have the one person shake and drop. But the actual figuring out of the battle and putting the cards in there to measure the dice, it's a little wonky.
Right, yeah. So I said the last time we didn't really have much information about this game, but what he's talking about is that you take the dice and you drop them in there, and you use a card as a ruler to say, I can shoot this far, and you can move this. So that's what it is. It kind of surprised me. I thought it was going to be more of a family game where you just drop them and then you go, wow, look what I got. But no, it's almost a miniature game.
Yeah.
Inside your box. You drop them in the box cover, and then you do maneuvering and shooting and stuff like that. But I'm still interested in it. I mean, it seems like a fairly unique concept.
Well, I actually saw one game ruined by the one guy dropped the dice, and then he put the card in there, and they're measuring it. They're doing all this stuff and they're grabbing the loot. Essentially, they're battling, and then after they win the battle and they grab the loot. Hence the name of the game. And one guy was doing this, and he was determining what the other guy, and the other guy says, no, that card doesn't, and the card doesn't. And he took the thing and he went in there and he dropped the card, and it touched the dice, and essentially the whole thing, red alert, the whole thing is like, we gotta re-roll, or what do we do? And so at that point, all right, well, that doesn't look as fun as it.
Well, that's any game that has a positional thing. You can always bump the table and knock things over, or knock things around. You can mess it up. But no, it's more just that it doesn't seem like quite the light family game I thought it was going to be. It seems like it's more, which is not necessarily a bad thing. It just means different audience. I mean, I thought it was going to be a family game, but it seems like it's actually, even despite this fun artwork,
it's got fun artwork.
That's got a little bit of seriousness to it in how you figure out how your dice work inside that box. No, I did not. I was going to say I pre-ordered this to pick up at GenCon, and I didn't. It's another game that's coming up on the list here.
Fair enough.
Okay, that's Rattle, Battle, Grab the Loot. Next game is Space Movers 2201.
Space Movers.
It's a cooperative sci-fi adventure game set in the year
2201.
In this game, you play the role of one of the crew members on board the spaceship Liberty. Your job as a mover is to jump from planet to planet in the system, picking up and delivering cargo. Movers specialize in getting cargo to its destination as efficiently as possible. To win the game, you need to complete a set of 5 objective cards. These cards directly continue the story that begins in the included graphic novel. Ooh. A 20-card random objective card deck will also be included. Okay, so they say it's a unique dice rolling mechanic. How the dice are rolled, Space Movers handles dice rolling to complete skill checks in a whole new way. Awkward sentence. Rolls take place inside the game box on a specially designed roll board. Dice are rolled one at a time instead of all at once. For each skill needed in the check, 1 die will be rolled, needing a 5 or higher for success. Yeah. And there's an official soundtrack to the game. Any thoughts on this?
The unique mechanic here is I think it's a sort of a collaborative, but you're throwing the dice. You're throwing the dice at other dice to change the dice and the thing, and the dice obviously can bounce out, and that's bad. And that seems fun until it's not. I don't know. The best thing on this was the font on the cover of the box. I was really excited with the font on the cover of the box. That looks fun. But the throwing of the dice in the box and then taking the subsequent throwing to change the box, then you can aim for areas inside the box, and if it's there, it's an automatic win. I don't know.
That sounds good to me. And it's a cooperative pickup and delivery. You don't see many of those around. So, yeah, I don't know. I mean, just where you're like, oh, I'm not sure about the throw in the box. I'm like, oh, throwing dice in the box and moving around. That sounds good to me.
Well, it was throwing dice in the box, and the game was built around throwing dice in the box versus this is a part of the thing where your collaborative space adventure. I'm like, what? Throwing dice in a box is a space adventure, but okay.
Well, yeah. Okay. Well, if you're gonna, what dice are dice? You know, you gotta use your imagination.
Well, if I said, hey, one of the things we're throwing a dice in a box, I could come up with some theme, maybe.
Okay, whatever.
Space Movers.
I think it's fine. So that's Space Movers 2201. Next game is Spirits of the Rice Paddy. This is a game from Ape Games, a roughly 90-minute game about rice farming, tile placement, and simultaneous actions. Ancient Balinese legend describes a host of powerful spirits who help poor rice farmers achieve success. These farmers have long used a sophisticated irrigation system to organize rice cultivation by integrating religious devotion and social responsibility with traditional farming methods. Even modern farmers seek to placate the spirit world in their quest to produce an abundant harvest. You must compete with fellow rice farmers to construct and tend rice paddies. Oxen can build walls and remove large rocks. Ducks can be employed to eat harmful pests and fertilize the fledgling crops. Weeds must be kept at bay. Most importantly, water must be conserved and released with the greatest of care. With a little luck, all that back-breaking labor will pay off in the end. The good news is that the spirits are eager to assist, granting many special abilities, blessings, and magic. The farmer who produces the most rice over 7 rounds wins the game.
It's a Euro game. It's got an agricultural field. There are hexes on it. The twist is there are ghosts that help with the game. I mean, that's all right, but if you're willing to go, oh, I like Euro games, I like agricultural themes, and I'm okay. The cards might be something you like, they might not be something you like. So it's a target audience that are going for people who like Euro games and like agricultural theme. This is of interest to you.
Well, yeah, I mean, I think you're right. It's a very Euro game, but the part that interests me about this is the water management. I have no idea how it works, but if there is some sort of spatial element to it, you have high to low where it flows, and you're trying to control where it flows. Well, I would find that interesting. Plus, ducks. So
ducks help fertilize. You got to remove rocks, and you put ducks on there, and so all right. And there's ghosts, but ghosts seems like okay. Fair enough. Ghosts.
Balinese legend describes a host of powerful spirits. Don't offend the spirits.
I am not offending the spirits.
Okay, that's spirits, not ghosts, of the rice paddy. Next game is Star Trek 5-Year Mission from Mayfair Games, a cooperative dice game for 3 to 7 players who take the roles of crew members of either the USS Enterprise from the original Star Trek series or the USS Enterprise D from Star Trek The Next Generation. In these roles, players try to cooperatively solve a series of blue, yellow, and red alerts before failing 5 such alerts or getting the Enterprise destroyed. That's probably always bad. Crew members have different abilities, and these abilities can help the team solve alerts, which is how the players score points in the game. Both the crew and the alert encounters differ depending on the era in which the game takes place. Whichever crew you're a part of, can you score 12 points before encountering failure or destruction?
I don't know. Look at these characters. You get 1 through, there plays up to 7 people, so there's got to be at least 7 different characters, and they have different strengths as noted. And it's cooperative, but it only takes up to like around 45 minutes. So, you know, I could be Spock for 45 minutes. Could I be Deanna Troi for 45 minutes? I don't know. But anyway, I could try to save the world before the 12th, the ship blows up, and then everybody yells at me after 30 minutes because I let the ship blow up because I didn't use my powers of helping and caring to get the people together to diffuse the situation. All right. The thing is, I'll look into it because 45 minutes. It's 90 minutes. That would have been no. I don't want to sit there and slog through. Picard say make it so for 90 minutes. I'll say make it so a couple of times, but I won't say make it so for 90 minutes. So it's worth a look.
Well, are you a Star Trek fan?
More Next Generation. Well, no, straight up, yeah. Original's got the alert too. So I'm about equally fan of original and Next Generation. Well, how about you?
No, I'm not.
Not at all.
No, I wouldn't say not at all. I did watch them, but the thing is the original series is pretty cheesy.
It is.
And the Next Generation, they're all such goody two-shoes. I prefer a Firefly with the morally ambiguous. They're good guys, but not goody two-shoe good guys. But the whole Kirk, Spock, McCoy triumvirate is a classic.
It is.
So I can't really watch the show, but I think the whole universe is okay.
Riker Picard Data doesn't work as good.
Leave out Riker, and then it'll be okay.
The way he mounts chairs, you've seen it.
Yeah. Okay, so that's Star Trek 5-year mission. We're not too excited. So the next one is Tesla versus Edison, War of Currents. This is a game that is 2 to 5 players, roughly 90 minutes, an electric industry route building game. It's a fast-playing route building, economic, and worker placement game focused on invention and industry in the roaring 1880s. It's easy to learn and appropriate for all gamers aged 14 and up. You're trying to determine who will be remembered as the man who brought light to the masses. Contributing innovations in power generation, delivery, and illumination, you choose to invest in direct current, DC, or technology, or the superior but later developing AC technology, alternating current. Players control a group of small legendary figures, each rated in invention, engineering, finance, and public relation, and then you use those to help research, commercialize, or patent technology, influence the public's perception, bid on and hopefully secure either residential, exhibition, or power generation projects. Money is tight and players may need to sell shares of their company in order to do everything they need to succeed, but be careful, other companies can buy stock you release, and the winner is the player whose company's stock is worth the most at the end of the game.
So the two big appeals for me on this one are I'm a science geek, so I like Tesla and Edison, and you play one of different characters in the game. It's not just you can play; it's 2 to 5 players. So you Tesla or Edison, or there's a few more, and they all have strengths. Whereas, Edison was one kind of character and Tesla's was another one. And then you incorporate helps of, famous investors at the time, J. Paul Getty or whatever. And you also have characters that help you with the thing. But the other allure of this game is going about the economic aspects is apparently the stock market in this game is super brutal, which is fun because I like a game where I'm building up I'm doing my economic engine, but I'm looking at him and he's just wanting to pull he's just going, all that stuff you're going to do right before you're going to do, cut, chunk, bonk, no money. the stock market dropped, you're out, and I'm like, oh fudge, I should have done it before, So that to me seems like, because then and the replayability seems, so I'm like, oh, if I had Edison and I would have got this card, then I would have built it up, then I would have done that before. So it seems like this one could be a lot of fun to figure out.
Maybe. I mean, it is a pure economic. It seems like a very pure economic game. In the Power Grid vein. I mean, it's route building and economics. I mean,
I didn't think of that till right now. Yeah.
There's no stocks, but I just wonder if you get to electrocute an elephant to change public perception, because that's something I think actually happened where Edison was trying to to show how dangerous
that was immortalized in an animated series.
Yeah. So I don't know. In fact, I'm not sure if there's much buzz about this, but it really does seem like right up most Eurogamers' alley. So
yeah, science geeks too. Tesla. I love me some Tesla. Yes,
he's popular nowadays.
Yeah, he is.
That's Tesla versus Edison, War of Currents. The next game is Tides of Time. This is from Portal Games. It's a 2-player, 10 to 20 minute civilization building game via card drafting and set collection. Play as an ancient civilization as they prosper and collapse through time. Build gigantic monuments, raise impenetrable fortifications, and amass vast knowledge as ages pass. The greatest civilizations will leave their mark long after their collapse. Blah, blah, blah. It's a drafting game for 2 players. Each game consists of 3 rounds in which players draft cards from their hands to build their kingdom. Each card is one of 5 suits and also has a scoring objective. After all cards have been drafted for the rounds, players total their points based on the suits of cards they collected and the scoring objectives on each card, and then they record their score. Each round, the players each select 1 card to leave in their kingdom as a relic of the past to help them in later rounds. After 3 rounds, the player with the most prosperous kingdom wins.
So it's not a micro card game there, but there's not a lot of cards in the game, and they all do multiple things in the game. So the decision making is you noted, you have to leave one aside, and you have to do one for the property, and you have to play one. So there's a lot of decisions made in a 20-minute game, and understand that has a lot of allure for people. So I'm willing to give it a whirl, but the big downside on me is it's a two-player small game. So it's something I can take on a train ride to play with my wife. But unless I really like it, there's other stuff that we can take travel game that you can take with you. But it's not one you bring to the table and you're playing with. Well, maybe it is. Maybe it's your Star Realms. Maybe it's your Star Realms of 2015, and it fills that niche because I like the Star Realms. And Star Realms plays in about the same time. So I might like it enough to say, oh, this is a good companion for Star Realms, even though it's a different game. I know.
Okay. Yeah. This is, I would call it a micro game. It's only 18 cards.
Oh. There you go.
But I looked at this, and the artwork I think is nice, and just the description of it, I was sold enough to. I pre-ordered this for pickup at GenCon. It's an inexpensive game, and I looked at it and says, you know what, I'm interested. I want to basically reserve a copy. I don't know if it's going to be hard to get or not, but it's just the concept. 2-player card drafting, keep one that's going to carry over to the next time. They've got me intrigued enough. I was willing to.
And the thing of the keep one, I really like the idea of the keep one and stay for a time, because that's now you're invested in that, right? So that's like in 20 minutes, and then obviously at the end of the game, if you lose or you mess up, you're like, oh, you shouldn't really kept that card. And I'm like, yeah, I should have really done that, because. And so then you go, oh no, next time, because that's that's like Star Realms is that's the only comparison there is Star Realms. The minute you finish Star Realms, whether you win or you lose, you think, oh, there was a couple of more things I could have really done better, and boy, I want to play it again so I can do that better.
Yeah. So like I say, I'm sold already. They already got my money. Actually they don't, because you don't have to pay till you get there, but.
Is that how that works? You just show up and you hand them whatever the money is, a $25 bill?
Yeah, I think it's $20. You just basically reserving a copy. That was Tides of Time. The next game is the Undercity and Iron Kingdoms Adventure board game. For Privateer Press, 2 to 4 players, a cooperative dungeon crawl. The Undercity puts a spin on the classic dungeon crawl adventure, setting it within the vast underground labyrinth of one of the Iron Kingdom's most famous cities. For 2 to 4 players, comes with a 7 adventure campaign. Players play 1 to 4 characters from the universe as they try to weed out the nefarious evil. All on the same team, and the game requires no game master. You'll work together defeating enemies, achieving objectives, and gaining experience that can give you new skills. Comes with almost 40 different miniatures with 16 different sculpts. Each character has a stat sheet. Combat is based on rolling dice against opposing attributes. You'll be able to use feats and abilities to give boosts to those dice rolls, similar to the way many other games based in the Iron Kingdoms.
I did not hear anything in that description. It said there was a unique aspect to dungeon crawl, a cooperative dungeon crawl game. I didn't hear anything there that said, oh, this is a lot different than other cooperative dungeon crawls I've seen played.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to say. The one thing, I think the appeal of this game is when I look at the cards, the production value is good. They've got almost 40 different miniatures, which is okay. The one thing is I'm underwhelmed by that dungeon board, but I'm always up for a good board game dungeon crawl. So I even though this may be, I don't know, Privateer Press, they're not nobody. I mean, they've got a few things. So I mean, I'll check it out. I mean, I know you're not a fan.
I'm
of
on record.
crawls.
I'm not the biggest fan of the dungeon crawls with the co-op. So okay.
Yeah. So I'll check it out. See how it is. Okay, that was the Undercity and Iron Kingdoms Adventure board game, which you notice I didn't bother putting all that on the screen. So next one. We're getting towards the end here. Vault Wars for Floodgate Games. 3 to 5 players, a roughly 60-minute game where it's fantasy auction. What that means is many heroes go forth to battle, but some never return, leaving behind their prized possessions. You'll be part of the bidding war for the vaults they left behind to try to gain valuable items, each providing gold, victory points, or new abilities. Outbid your opponents, equip artifacts to gain new abilities, and find the gear your up-and-coming heroes are looking for to be victorious. Players will take turn as an auction master, leading a cutthroat bidding war to selling off vaults full of items for other players. Each vault is a unique experience, introducing new ways for the players to bid. No player quite knows everything that's in a vault, and there's lots of junks to fool your opponents into bidding on. Between auctions, player may sell off items. You collect gems for massive victory points. Each player has heroes who are looking for specific items, giving out bonus victory points, but try to keep that a secret from your opponents. So it's a bidding and bluffing game.
Mm-hmm. It's Storage Wars, fantasy-based Storage Wars. So I am a fan of that dumb show.
Are you really?
Yes, I am. I like that show with the characters who you yell at because you idiot, why would you bid that much for that that storage closet? So hopefully one of the designers on this game, Ben Harkins, is local to the area. We're in Minnesota, so I'm a fan of his just by hanging out with him. He's had a couple of games. Epic Resort. I think this is the same graphic design as the Epic Resort, which is his game. So I'm a fan of that. And if it is in fact has the theme, and he's got a lot of humor in his games. So if it does have the theme of a funny, humorous Storage Wars, except it's fantasy based and you're building on lockers and vaults instead of lockers, and it's got gems in there, it's got more than a little bit of appeal for me. Then that this should be a fun. I like the design of the game. I hopefully if the humor is there, I'm sold immediately. The humor's there.
Yeah, the appeal to me is the fact that I'm not sure if you could put things in the vault, but part of what's in the vault, and the fact that the types of auction changes. I like that. I don't like. Well, I guess I shouldn't say I don't like games where the auction always stays the same, but I always do like it when there's games where sometimes it's a blind bidding, sometimes it's a once around, and that kind of thing. So
like Modern Art, it would be.
Yeah, Modern Art. So yeah, it's probably a small game, I think.
It really does. I hate to reiterate that, but it really does depend on the humor. If this is dry without humor, it doesn't seem that much, not nearly as much fun.
Look at that box artwork. Yeah. I mean, that's not dry box artwork.
Yeah. Hopefully it's funny. Fun and funny.
Yeah, okay, we'll see. That's Vault Wars. Next is Viceroy. Viceroy is from Mayday Games, 1 to 4 players, roughly 45 to 60 minute game, which I'm not even sure what the theme is. I put fantasy politics ? It's auction and set collection game. So it's a board game of bidding and resource management set in the famous Russian CCG Berserk universe, which I know how famous is it. It's the first time I'm hearing of it. As the players struggle for control over the world, they recruit allies and enact laws. As the game progresses, each builds their own power pyramid using the character and law cards. Each card has its own effect depending on the level of the pyramid. So you build pyramids, and then you got to put them on there, and the higher up you get more points.
So the unique thing about this, from what I've read, is there's not a cooperative element when you're bidding, but there's open discussion while you're bidding. So I have a blue gem in my hand, and I need the blue card because gets that one, and I'm like, I would like the blue gem if it's okay with everybody else, and somebody else might really need the blue thing, and then I might back off, or I might switch because no one else is going for the red, so okay, that's a thing. But which, I don't know how that plays or how much nicety that as the game progresses, because at some point you're both going to really need the card, and all right, we're going to bid, and then we're going to bid again, and we're just wasting each other's energy while the other people are obviously in a bidding thing where two people are bidding over the one thing and somebody else is bidding something and they're getting it for free. They're going to obviously rack it up and go a lot quicker. So, but it's such a small game as a footprint. What is it playing on?
It's not a small footprint.
Well, it's not a small footprint, but it plays in 45 minutes. It's a quick thing where you're building up your little pyramid, and so we'll see it. It from the flavor text and the looking at it, it doesn't look. Obviously it doesn't look like Splendor, and just because there's gems or something, but it seems like the decision making is the weight of it seems to be about you don't think the weight is? No. You think it's equal weight or more?
The reason I say that is I have this game upstairs. Even though it's a GenCon release, there was a Kickstarter, and the Kickstarter backers got it before its release, and so I just got it this week, and I read through the rules. This is heavier than...
Oh, it is heavier.
Yeah, there's things about, when you pass, you get to choose one gem of each, or up to 3 different gems, but for every science token, you get to choose an extra one.
Oh.
There's attacking and defense. You don't actually attack people, but you got these multipliers, too. There's a lot going on about matching up the colors as you're building the pyramid. So it's not, I would say it's a heavy game, but I would say it's a medium weight. I would say it's definitely a medium weight, whereas Splendor I put on the medium light.
Well, not that actually increases the allure for me. But I'm curious as to the bidding thing, and like, I want red. Hey everybody, I want red, and see what that actually warrants, because I don't know what the rules say. If I just say I want red, and somebody just looks at me and says, "So who cares?"
Yeah, no, that is actually that a lot of people, you don't have to play with that.
Yeah.
And the other part is some people think you shouldn't play with that, because otherwise there won't be any conflicts. And the conflicts is where the game gets in. But the problem is conflicts are costly. If you're in conflicts more with other people, that you would. I don't know. I haven't played it yet, but I thought, well, if that does turn out to be a problem, maybe I'll say, well, you can't negotiate on the first round, but after that you can start doing. But it's way too early. I brought this to the game event Saturday, but I never got it played.
Oh well, there you go.
I had other things I wanted to get played first, so.
Okay.
But yeah, am I interested in it? Well, I already spent my money and have it, so unfortunately I can't tell you right now whether I like it or not. But the artwork is good. The production values are good. I punched this. Those are nice thick cardboard tokens.
But the cardboard gems are...
Yeah, the cardboard gems are good. As one of the Kickstarter bonuses, you could throw an extra, I don't remember what it was, $2 or $5 and get the acrylic gems, which I did, but I'm not sure they're better. I think I might actually rather play with the cardboard ones. But that's Viceroy. This one I know is definitely going to be released at GenCon. Village Crone. Village Crone is from Fireside Games, designed by Anne-Marie DeWitt. 1 to 6 players. The theme is that you're medieval witches, and it's a worker placement game. Become a witch and enter the medieval world of Wickersby in this worker placement resource management game with spell casting. Make villagers fall in love, turn them into frogs, or teleport them to different locations. Use your familiars to gather ingredients and cast spells on villagers to achieve goals and score victory points as you vie to be named the Village Crone. It has a modular game board as well as rules for solitaire play.
Yeah, it's obviously not super heavyweight because you're turning frogs and stuff like this. This seems like it would have a big appeal for our game group. It seems like something my wife would like and our game group would like. I like the name Village Crone. That seems like a clever name to me. It's fun. Village Crone seems like. I mean, I see, some of the shadows over Dragosphere, and you're like, oh boy. But Village Crone, okay, Crone, that's a funny word. Okay. And there's frogs, and so yeah, this is, I almost pre-ordered this thing because I thought it would be that much appeal. But I want to play it before I buy it. I'm not that close to buying it.
I've heard several people say this is high on their list. I mean, I kind of read the description, what I looked at, and I didn't delve into it. I was like, it looks okay. But I must just be missing it because I know a lot of people that are like, yeah, this is one of my must-sees.
Well, I'm definitely, my wife and I are definitely going to be that's the first tables we're going to hit and say, hey, teach us this Village Crone because it looks like fun.
Okay, that's Village Crone. Last game is Wonky. It's from USAopoly, 2-player, 15-minute dexterity and press your luck game. In Wonky, players try to get rid of the cards in their hands by stacking blocks on top of each other, ideally setting up the blocks so that someone else takes a spill and gets stuck with more cards in hand. The trick to doing this are there are special blocks in the game, 9 of them, 3 each in small, medium, and large sizes, with the 3 of the block sides being flat and 3 being curved. Set up the blocks the right way, and you can block an opponent's path to victory.
Yeah, this is USAopoly. They have Telestration fame. They're the party game people. Got a lot of fun party games for coming out of this company. The stacking of the blocks on top of the other blocks. It's not rocket science. So it skews obviously to the allure for kids and casual gamers. I mean, you're not going to bring it out. Play Through the Ages, and then we're going to play Wonky. We're not, it's not that level of game. It's a fun little light party game. It depends a lot, and I think you would agree, on components. If the components, and while you're putting the stuff on top of each other, and you get a tactile feel, the components are high quality. And you see the cards and stuff. If that's all right, but if the components are high quality and you actually in doing the thing that you're supposed to do, and you go, oh well, this is a lot of fun versus this is just stupid. This thing's too slippery, or there's no way to make this even work. What the heck? Then that's going to be the tipping point. No pun intended. For me, is the components are good, the components are not good, then that's the decision for me.
Yeah, because those blocks are going to make or break the game. Because it's got to be so that you can make it difficult for your opponent, but not impossible. I mean, if it doesn't have that... But I'll tell you this, if that box is actually shaped like that, I'm like, what are you doing? I don't know, I can't tell. It's just like,
you know what? That was 100% my first impression when I saw that. It's like, please don't have that be the box.
I would say that box is wonky. Okay, well that's it.
A lot of information. We're gonna be in GenCon, and we're gonna check all this stuff out. And it's hopefully we gave you a lot of good information to make some informed decisions about GenCon, and go and forth and see you in Indianapolis, people.
Yep. See ya.
Bye.